Hello, my people, my young people. So today I am supposed to be doing a workshop on how I get from this idea into something that I've created, right? Something that is more creative in nature, less like analysis or response. And so I thought the best way to do that is to show you kind of the process that I went through to write my perspective poem, which is something that Miss Mazzoni has been working with creative writing on. So as you can see over here in the comments section, I have my process, right? This is what I do for everything that I write. There's a few like tweaks that I make, but generally speaking, it's always this process. So first I start with a quick write every single time. Um, I usually set a timer and I try to write my thoughts on whatever the topic is. When the timer's up, I read through what I've written, and then I type it back up. Once I type it up, usually it's in like a paragraph, right? Or a couple of paragraphs. So I guess this is my example where I just had a bunch of paragraphs that I put together. And then Miss Mazzoni talks a lot about creating breathing room for your writing when you're writing poems. And when she talks about creating breathing room, that really stood out to me because it's focusing and bringing attention to lines that are significant, right? It's telling the reader, like, this is something important that I want you to pause and understand. So I created breathing room. So down here is my second draft. And you can see there's a lot more space between the lines. Just so you know, this poem that I wrote is from the perspective of my pen, because I wanted to choose an object, inanimate, that meant something to me. And my pen, those are important to me. So I created breathing room and I made some slight changes, and chose to, what is happening? It keeps moving my screen in a weird place. And then the last thing that I do is I choose to make changes. So if you looked at my draft one, you can see this, it was Thursday, 4:30 to be precise, when she showed up, right? And then if you go down here, it was a Thursday, 4:30 to be precise, when she showed up. She picked up my package of precise V5s, inspected the color of my ink. So I took that line and that's where I started. I completely cut this whole first section as I was revising. So my fourth step is to identify words and phrases that could be strengthened, and then I make structural changes. So I move entire sections around. Once I get that done, then I get feedback because I want to make sure that whatever emotion I'm trying to capture with my poem, whatever I'm trying to convey to the reader about this object, or the importance of this object, I want to make sure that I'm doing that. And the only way to do that is to get feedback, right? I'm not going to be there every time I write a poem or write something creative to explain things. So part of the role of feedback is to make sure that the audience understands what I'm trying to get across. So this process usually takes me, the first, the quick write to the first draft, typing, maybe 45 minutes or something. I try not to be too strict or put a lot of pressure on myself to have something beautiful and perfect and wonderful. That comes in revision for me. So I would love to see some of you guys try out a perspective poem as you try to, highlight an object that could have changed the world or that is changing the world. So I hope you enjoyed this, and obviously you can pause it. I'll scroll down to my last, my most final draft of my poem about my pen, and you can pause it and read it if you want to, but definitely don't feel obligated. It's kind of a weird poem, and that's where it ends. So talk to you guys soon.